The winter wind moved through the city streets like a restless ghost, weaving between buildings, carrying with it the sharp scent of cold metal and distant smoke. It was the kind of evening when people hurried more quickly than usual, eager to find warmth, eager to return home. But in the middle of that rush, a young woman named Liana stood at the entrance of the subway station, her guitar case strapped to her back and her gloved fingers gripping a paper cup now half filled with coins. Liana was a street musician, not by grand career choice, but by circumstance. She had moved to the city dreaming of singing in small cafes, building a name for herself, writing songs that would one day touch people's hearts. But dreams, she had learned, were expensive in the city. Rent was high, part-time jobs were inconsistent, and her mother's medical bills back home were growing. Music became more than a passion, it became the one thing she could offer the world in exchange for coins that kept her afloat. She set up near the railing of the station, where people would pass her before descending to the trains. Her voice, warm and silky, usually cut gently through the cold air, drawing a few softened expressions from strangers, sometimes even a smile, sometimes even a moment's pause. But today, the crowd seemed distracted, irritated, swallowed by their own worries. Her songs drifted into their world unnoticed. But she kept singing. If she didn't sing, she feared her hope would freeze inside her. Her final song of the evening was one she had written herself, a soft melody about holding on when the world felt too heavy. It was slow, quiet, almost fragile, like something that could break if a wrong note was played. She closed her eyes as she sang it, letting the cold numb her cheeks and the wind carry her words. She didn't notice the tall man who stopped across from her, didn't see the tension in his jaw, the way his fists remained tightly clenched at his sides, the way his shoulders carried the invisible weight of a day gone wrong. His name was Marcus, and though no stranger to the city, he felt more alone in it than he wished to admit. He had lost his job that afternoon. Not because he was incompetent, he was good at what he did, a technician who fixed things others couldn't understand. But the company was downsizing, they said. It's not personal, they told him. But of course it felt personal when the job was the one steady thing he had left after a year of small but painful losses. He had intended to go straight home after collecting the last of his belongings. Instead, he walked without direction, letting the anger and helplessness guide his steps until he found himself at the station entrance. He didn't want music. He didn't want noise. He wanted the world to stop spinning just long enough for him to breathe. Yet something about Liana's voice, gentle, unforced, almost tender, made him stop. Her lyrics drifted toward him slowly. When the night is too loud and hope feels too small, I'll sing you a whisper to soften the fall. Something in him tightened. He did not believe in coincidences, but he believed in moments, and this moment felt like one he was unprepared for. Liana opened her eyes mid-verse and noticed him standing there, not moving, not frowning, but not exactly soft either. His brown coat was wrinkled, his expression unreadable. But there was something in the way he stared at the ground that told her he wasn't just a passerby. She kept singing, not louder, but with more warmth, hoping the song would reach wherever he was lost. Marcus hadn't realized he was holding his breath until the song ended. When her voice faded, something inside him ached. Not painfully, but like a wound being touched for the first time after being ignored for too long. Liana offered him a small smile, the kind she gave to people who seemed like they needed one even if they didn't ask. "Thank you for listening," she said softly. Marcus shifted a little. He wasn't used to kindness from strangers. "You wrote that?" She nodded. "Just something I sing when the day gets hard." He let out a bitter laugh before he could stop himself. "Yeah. Hard day. You could say that." Her guitar hung loosely in her hands. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Not because she knew his story, but because sometimes those two words were the only thing people needed to feel human again. Marcus didn't respond. He reached into his pocket, intending to drop a coin into her cup, but his wallet contained less than he remembered. The job loss hit him again, cutting through the brief warmth of the moment. He sighed and stepped back. "You don't have to," she said, noticing his hesitation. But he shook his head. "It's fine. I don't want to walk away giving nothing." She gently closed the lid of her cup with her glove. "Then take the song," she said. "Consider that something." It startled him, the idea that a stranger would give him anything freely, without condition. Liana packed her guitar, preparing to leave. Her fingers were stiff from the cold, and she knew she had only a few hours left to get to the shelter where she stayed. But something in Marcus's expression made her pause. "Are you heading somewhere?" she asked. "You look like you're searching for a place, not a direction." He rubbed his forehead. "Honestly, I'm not sure where I'm going anymore." The vulnerability in his voice surprised even him. Liana hesitated, debating whether she should engage further. But kindness, she believed, wasn't something to ration. "If you want," she said gently, "you can walk with me until the station entrance. No pressure. Just company for a few minutes." Marcus wasn't sure why his feet moved, but they did. They walked together, not talking much. The silence wasn't heavy, it simply existed, like an old friend. Finally, he asked, "Do you sing here every day?" "Most days," she replied. "It helps. And sometimes someone hears me who needs the song more than I need the coins." He looked at her then, really looked at her. "Was that me today?" She smiled faintly. "Only you would know that." He didn't respond, but something warm curled in his chest, an unfamiliar feeling, quiet but steady. When they reached the station stairs, Marcus stopped. "Thank you," he said, the words carrying more meaning than he expected. "For the song, and the company." She shrugged lightly, her breath forming small clouds in the cold air. "Sometimes we're strangers only until a moment connects us." Marcus nodded, unsure how to express the gratitude settling in him. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small silver token, a subway collectible coin he had kept since childhood. He turned it over in his fingers before handing it to her. "I don't have much right now," he said, "but this helped me through some hard times. Maybe it'll bring you something good." Liana took it carefully. It was warm from his hand. "I'll treasure it," she whispered. They parted ways at the stairs. Liana continued toward the shelter, and Marcus descended into the station. But as he waited for the train, something strange happened. He felt lighter. The anger that had been choking him seemed less fierce. The fear less consuming. Music, her music, had softened something inside him, something he didn't know had hardened. Days passed. Marcus spent the next week job hunting, filling out applications, making calls, trying not to lose hope. But each time he felt frustration creeping in, he remembered her voice, "I'll sing you a whisper to soften the fall." It grounded him. He found a small job within 2 weeks at an electronics repair shop. Not glamorous, not high-paying, but honest work with people who treated him kindly. On his first good day back at work, he left early and found himself walking toward the subway entrance where he had first heard her. Liana wasn't there. He returned the next day. And the next. On the 4th day, he spotted her, this time farther down the station, tuning her guitar. Her cheeks were rosy from the cold, her scarf frayed, but her eyes still bright with quiet resilience. She looked up and recognized him immediately. "You found a direction," she said with a grin. He laughed softly. "Something like that." He handed her a small paper bag. Inside was a pair of insulated gloves. "You were playing without good gloves last time," he said, suddenly self-conscious. "Thought these might help." Her eyes softened. "Thank you. That's very kind." "I owe you more than a pair of gloves," he admitted. "That song, it did more for me than I expected." Liana strummed her guitar, letting a gentle chord float into the cool air. "Songs don't fix the world," she said, "but sometimes they reach the places where words can't." He watched her for a moment, the melody weaving into the noise around them. Then he asked, "Would you sing that song again? The one from before?" She nodded, settling her guitar. Her voice flowed once more, soft, warm, familiar. People passed by, some slowing, some not noticing. But Marcus listened with the quiet reverence of someone grateful for second chances. When she finished, he exhaled slowly. "You know," he said, "I wasn't the kind of person who believed strangers could change anything. But you changed something." She smiled. "And you did the same for me. That day, I felt invisible. But you listened. Sometimes listening is its own kind of kindness." They stood in a gentle silence, each warmed by the other's presence despite the winter air. Over the following weeks, a small friendship grew between them, not fast, not loud, but steady, like the beginnings of a harmony. They shared stories, struggles, small victories. Marcus brought her coffee on cold evenings. Liana shared new songs she wrote. They became reminders that strangers could become anchors in unexpected moments. And every time Marcus felt the world closing in, he remembered the song that had softened him, opening a door inside that he hadn't realized was locked.